Okay, hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Rob for Smirking Gun Reviews. We're back again with another The Man in the High Castle episode. We're doing Season 2, Episode 3. It's called Travelers, so there will be a lot of spoilers, the whole thing. And let's just jump right into it. And I'm going to try to do this just by characters. Makes it a little easier for me to keep it all in my head. So let's just go to Tagomi. So Tagomi has a little meeting with some Reich guys talking about piracy when he's interrupted by the general, who he switched his plans. This general wanted to move uranium through on trucks filled with women and children, American women and children, because fuck us, right? And he intentionally wants it to be transported on buses to kill people. So he's just a sadist. He's just a psycho. Tagomi had done it, had switched it out to regular trucks so that nobody would die. He has another excuse, of course. He tries to talk about efficiency, things like that, because he can't come out and say, you're a fucking maniac and you shouldn't be killing people purposely. But you've got to do it all the polite way, apologies. This guy's no joke, so he's pretty much going to be the guy that is in the way for pretty much Tagomi and anybody that's alive in that city. And then you have later on with the very end scene, Tagomi. So just in case anybody's like, is Tagomi dreaming? When he goes over to the other side, is he still sitting there but his mind is elsewhere? No, we find out that when he meditates, he literally disappears and goes to another reality. That's because his assistant goes in there and finds him gone. Now, his assistant had been telling him that he needed to meditate, and part of me wonders if his assistant may not know about this, how to do it. That's kind of a stretch, maybe, but when he picked up the picture, he kind of just seemed a little like he expected it, or that he was happy that he wasn't, So that's it there. That's a way big leap. I mean, forward to understanding the show is, yes, this is possible. There are other realities, and you can go there. With Inspector Keto going to Juliana's parents' house, that's not a huge scene, but the most important thing to take away from that is that Keto finds out that Juliana watched the Man in the High Castle films, and to her parents, to her mother and Arnold, that's what messed her up, was seeing these films. And this really does pique his interest because he's such a hardcore dude. He didn't care what these people were having to say until they brought that up. So he's kind of like, everybody's after these films still. When he hears that it's about the explosion, and killing everybody, that really, I think got his attention. So he just puts them on notice to make sure that they talk to him if they hear from her. And so let's jump to Joe. So Joe's in Germany, and there's not really much to say except he meets his dad, who I like the guy who plays his dad. He was on Fringe for a good long while as a synthetic. I don't want to spoil anything on that show, but he was a bad guy on Fringe for a while, and he was really good there. So Sebastian Roche, I think is how you say his name. So it's cool to see him, even though he's playing another bad guy. But yeah, he's Joe's dad, and from the very get-go, you just don't buy that I just want to show my son what I've done, and it just feels like window dressing. And when he goes to the party, and the girl, it's like she's window dressing. Like, she's supposed to be there to be like sympathetic to Joe. I don't buy her for a second. She just seems like another phony baloney who's like, look, he's having a hard time. I need somebody to ease him in. And what better way to do that than a pretty girl who can make him forget about Juliana? So, ain't buying it. And that's pretty much it for Joe. I mean, it's just you're. I don't like my dad. You screwed over my mom. I don't want to be a Nazi. Pretty girl in front of me. So that's really it for his story. It's to me. It's one of the storylines that I actually kind of remember from when I watched it the first time, and I'm not that keen on talking about it, just because I just didn't find it that interesting the first time around. So, I do like it when he's talking to the one guy from intelligence, like German intelligence. I shouldn't say German, Nazi intelligence, uh, about the thing on the boat. He's like, with the Negro, with the coloreds or whatever, the blacks, and he thinks it's like it was masterful. And he's like, it was an assassination, dude. All right, let's not mince words. This wasn't negotiations. We just killed those dudes. Now we go to, let's see, who's got the more interesting. So let's go to Frank, who again is just kind of a frustrating character. He's talking to Ed. Ed's just like, "Why'd you do this? Why'd you get in with the Yakuza?" Um, and they go, he goes to the antique dealer, who again, I'm not understanding Frank's hostility towards this man. Frank got him, forced him basically to, I mean, basically, he blackmailed him to sell him bullets. Let's get this relationship like straight. He blackmailed him into letting bang bullets. He's been strong arming this guy the entire way, telling him he'll, go to the cops, turn him in, all this stuff. And this guy has complied. He has financially benefited from it, but he hasn't, been a. An eccentric guy, but he's not a bad person. And Frank just kind of strong arming him and strong arming him. I mean, is it because he has no interest in the resistance that he's kind of happy with his life? I mean, look, this isn't a good world, but I understand like how some people would just try to survive, and this is this guy's way of surviving. So I just feel like this, and I feel like they kind of try to paint this antique dealer as kind of somebody you're not supposed to be, I don't know, on his side or anything. But I feel like they really need to back off the strong arming part, because even though now they've taken over his home, and while I know that they have to do what they have to do for the Yakuza, because of Frank, again, he pushed them into this. Um, Even when the antique dealer says, "Oh, thanks for showing up," and Frank gives that look in his face and starts to walk away like a dick. Now Frank kind of starts to turn and redeem himself as a little bit in my eyes when he meets Sarah from the Resistance. Well, at first, him and Lem go to Gary, and I do like that Frank tells him, "This is all your fault. I mean, you guys use people's suffering to join your little club. That pretty much means nothing. It's futile, you know." And Julian is in this position. Frank's in this position because of these films, and he's not completely wrong here. He's got points. They do. If it wasn't for Trudy getting Juliana involved because she was in the Resistance, none of this would have happened. But we have to have a story, so again, so much just for story. So Frank goes and meets this Sarah girl. She tells him of this plot to kill just 12 random people that work at a laundry for reprisals for the two guards that were killed on the road. I don't know how you get from two dead guards on the highway to 12 people in a laundry. I guess maybe they were thinking, where can we just pull 12 people from where nobody will notice, I guess, except their families and their loved ones and their friends and everybody else. And they show them getting loaded up on a bus. And Frank does go with, and this is where it's, Frank starts to show that he can be something maybe in the Resistance just because of his anger alone. Now, his anger could get him killed if he's not smart, but they go and they take they kill the guards, and of course there's one left, and this gives Frank the opportunity to get out some pent-up rage and blows that guy away. And that's pretty much it there. I mean, You can tell he's on his way to joining the resistance and helping. And you know, I do get some of Frank's feelings because of, I mean, I don't want to downplay the absolute rage he's feeling over the loss of his sister and his niece and nephew, and just the constant betrayals and lies from Juliana, who just cannot seem to tell this poor guy the truth ever, just because she's got conflicting feelings about Joe Blake, and how she has to find out what happened with Trudy and all this stuff. So I do get Frank's. I just think some of the writing for Frank is a little, it doesn't make sense for a person to act sometimes the way he acts. So now we go to Juliana, who, yeah, I guess she didn't have a plan. Her plan was, I gotta stay alive, and I think Joe Blake can help me. And I guess she didn't understand that everybody wants her dead. And I guess that makes sense. She hasn't been on the other end of those phone calls with, you know, that Joe's having with Smith. So I guess she thought she was safe, that this was her last chance. And boy, does she go through the ringer here. So no plan, just walking into the Nazis. We get to see the process of like what a refugee would be like for the Nazi, you know, like trying to get asylum. And it's just as, you know, invasive as anything else. You know, they strip you down, they check, they ask you every kind of question in the book, and then they interrogate you, where they say, you know, hey, how long were you banging Joe, which he hadn't been, but they're asking all these questions that they already know the answers to. And here's the kicker. Then in walks Smith, and this is just, again, Rufus Sewell being the best character on this show, just masterfully talking to her like she's just a little plaything for him. She is just this naive, doe-eyed dum-dum. Okay, let's get this straight. Juliana is pretty much a dum-dum. She hasn't done really anything right. She has just stumbled accidentally through this storyline. Another thing I found out was 2 weeks. It's only been 2 weeks since the episode 1 to now. There's only been 2 weeks time span. That's crazy. So anyway, I can't believe how much has happened in 2 weeks. That's just nuts. So Smith is just playing with her, and she's just like trying to like pretend that they're not onto her, that they don't know, and he's just like, oh hey, you know, no, we do owe you, and we're gonna set you up, and it's just even closer to bring her in, to get her like leverage against Joe now, keep her close, keep her safe, because if Joe ever steps out of line, then you can just say we're gonna kill her. But Rufus Sewell does such a good job at playing that balance of, oh, well, I'm Nazi, but hey, we all help each other out here. He is so calm. He's able to do that duality of the character so well that you wouldn't know that this is a mean, murdering son of a bitch. And so he approves of everything. Gets her in the car, tells her her new name is Julia Mills. We're setting you up with an allowance, a house. I mean, she is getting everything on a platter, just given to her. And then he gives, you know, his wife is helping her. She's at the apartment. They are giving of themselves. This con is just so well done and committed, and just, I don't know if his wife's in on it. She very well could be, because she's a pretty good actress too, at both things, the duality of the lifestyles. So she's like telling her what she needs to do as far as like, you know, you can't just sit here, you know, but we're going to deal it all out, and honey, your mind must be spinning and all this stuff. And I love that after the fact, Juliana's just like sitting, hiding in a corner, waiting for somebody to break down the door, like somebody to realize that she's just full of shit. But she doesn't. She gets up, she cuts her hair, and she goes to find Joe, where she finds the Brooklyn apartment. And that's where she runs into Rita, who basically feels like Joe tricked us both. Joe's in Berlin, and Juliana's, I'm already calling her Julia. Juliana's realization that this was for nothing. Her last ditch effort was to go find Joe, and now Joe's gone, and she's trapped behind the enemy lines in Nazi America. And so now she has to just play the role that she's been dealt. And again, you didn't have a plan. And it's just a way for the writers to, now she was stumbling through the Pacific states. Now she can stumble through her life in Nazi Germany, or Nazi America, whatever, Nazi New York. So now we get to the best part of this story, in my opinion. There's a lot of good stuff in here, and I may be critical of stuff, but it's just because I can't help myself. I just got to be honest about it. But when we get to Obergruber Revere Smith's storyline this week, and that is the doctor is coming back to the house, telling him, "Look, I know you haven't killed your kid, but you got to. It's the state demands it. I can't hide this. I mean, you're asking me. I'm putting my life on the line." It's basically what he's saying. Like, I'm trying to be your friend, but you're high up, man. They find out that you're doing this, that we're all fucked. So, he's, okay, just give me some more time, and he's like, if you don't do it, I have to. Which, yeah, you really want to put this guy in a corner, right? So during this, so after this thing happens, that's when he has to go deal with Julia. So you have this guy who's fucked up now in the head, thinking about how he has to murder his son or euthanize. And then he goes to the Juliana storyline where he has to butter her up and play that other role, and then go back to his, put on his other personality again. And he's looking at his son, and they go out fishing, playing hooky and stuff, and just listening to his son's stories about how he likes a girl and all this thing about his future, his life, and what he wants to do and be. And maybe it's a little forceful, but it's not done cheesily. And that look on his face, where you can't even hear his son talking anymore, and it's just silent, and he's looking at his kid with such, and it's not scary intensity, but it's just his mind. He's listening to his kid, but he's not listening to his kid, and he's just thinking, what do I do? What do I do? It's impossible. I can't kill my kid, but I can't go against the Nazi Reich. I mean, I'm in this. I believe in this. And it's just, again, it makes you feel something for this guy who you shouldn't give a shit about. Because you just, all the things he's done. But they just do such a great job of painting him as a good father. And so it's no surprise then that he runs into the doctor, who, thinking he has killed his son, tells him, let's get in the car, let's talk. And you know what's going to happen, but it's just still he puts the injection in the doctor, smothers his face, broad daylight, and kills him and walks out. Now, this is if you wanted to commit crimes, the 1960s, back then when they weren't, people didn't have cameras everywhere, and fingerprints weren't usually, it didn't always have to be a thing and everything like that. I mean, killing this dude in broad daylight, damn. And so that's basically where it ends. I mean, they're having dinner, and this is where he's going to protect his family. And since the doctor's supposedly the only one who knew, now it's a waiting game. Because now that he's done this, he's going to always have to look over his shoulder, wondering who's going to find out. So anyway, that's the end of the episode. Again, another really good episode, especially. And it's disappointing to me that the most interesting characters are your supposed, your bad guys, your on the fringe guys, that kind of thing. But hopefully, as it goes on, the characters like Juliana, Joe, and Frank can become more interesting as characters. That's just my opinion. You all may love them to death, but I just still think they're too cookie cutter. Anyway, if you like this video, please hit the like button, share. We're almost at 200 subscribers, and the only way this channel grows, I feel like, is by sharing the content that you do like with the other people that might like it. I don't want to sound like hey, do it. I'm just saying, if you like this channel and you want to help the channel out, I pretty much feel like that's the best way to do it. But I thank you for all the support, and the few people that do watch these videos. I really like that too. So hit the bell for any notifications, and we will see you on the next video. I should be doing an episode of Ozark before I go to work. Then I got to be at work all day and night, and then I'll be back tomorrow with some more videos. So this is Rob for Smirking Gun Review saying have a nice day, and we will see you on the next video. Bye bye.